Welcome, everyone. Let's get this started, shall we? Welcome, everyone, to the Why Ukraine live stream. Megavan and Melanin. Thank you all, members of the Last Alliance. That reminds me, I forgot to create an invite for SkruffyTalez today. I told him I was going to do it, too. Well, I assume my live stream is going to start here any moment. I see it's not quite happening yet. I guess it's on a delay. That reminds me, there we go. Forgot to create. I like how it starts off with, that reminds me, I forgot to create. Wow. Yeah, that was a hell of a delay. Welcome, everyone, to the Why Ukraine live stream. Megavonen, Melanin. Welcome, friends and allies. I'm an American. I live in Ukraine, and my camera needs to be repositioned. I'm glad you're here. If it's your first time, I'm sorry, you've come to the bottom of the internet now, or at least the bottom of the ProUkraine YouTube rabbit hole here. Thank you for coming, though. We're going to talk about some things happening here in Ukraine, and we're going to talk about teaching drones to teenagers and the ethical dilemmas therein. Speaking of ethical dilemmas, we have this recent news, the arrest of CEO Pavel Durov. I'm curious what you guys think about all this. Yeah? You know? Like, I think from a Ukrainian perspective, and remember, I always try to provide that. I think Ukrainians don't trust the Russians, but they generally regard Telegram as safe, not in the military. Military uses, Signal or any number of other apps, WhatsApp, all kinds of other things. Different groups are constantly switching back and forth, and there's constantly rumors going back and forth that this app is compromised and another app is not compromised, and at least on the front line and in frontline areas. Ken, thank you very much for that donation to my cause. That will certainly help this week. Teaching my week-long intensive drone camp. Now, I do intend to also still teach my English classes all week, and I will also do a live stream on Thursday, I hope. So thank you very much. But, I see a little bit more. I mean, I don't know what you call me a conspiracy theorist, and I try not to be, but what do you think are the effects of this going to be? Now, a large percent of both Russian and Ukrainian government, and perhaps even I might say civil society, runs on Telegram. Okay? I mean, I'm going to bring Telegram up on my computer right now just to kind of, I think I showed you guys the last Thursday. Here's the Telegram channel for Pokrovsk. Wow, look at that. What does this say here? Sporodny, 11 o'clock, 19. Okay, I'm going to have to translate it. Wow, look at that. This is what's happening in Pokrovsk. No, it says Kramatorsk. I guess, yeah. Kramatorsky. So it's interesting. I think they are, I want to translate this here. They're preparing Pokrovskians for for what's coming, to try to convince people to get out. Wow. The body of a British citizen in Kramatorsk on yesterday. 4 men aged 38, 40, 41, and 46, journalists of a foreign media. Wow. Oh, there was a hotel hit. Holy cow. See, so, I mean, this is, like, this is how Ukrainian society communicates, guys. So it looks like the Russians probably targeting foreign media. Doesn't say which one, but I'm sure we'll find out and we'll hear about it. If it was British, maybe it was like the BBC or something like that. Oh, Mr. Squiggle, that's interesting. FPV Freestyler was an app to learn to fly a drone for the basics. Big Mac used it to get a handle on flying a drone. I have not used that one, but I will take a note of it. Because the one I'm going to be using tomorrow is called Liftoff, but FPV Freestyler. And we have another one, though, that I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, we're going to be, we'll start the kids off with simulators. And then basically, if you look back here behind me, I'll just make this my big screen. So I have this drone. I have 5 of these, and these are like basically toys. Yeah. This thing, I mean, the battery time is like 15 minutes. That's one thing I didn't have a chance to do, is get extra batteries for this thing. Cheryl, yeah, well, it was Kramatorsk, so those journalists would be covering like Chasiv Yar. They would be covering the Chasiv Yar, or that general area, like Liman to Chasiv Yar kind of a thing. So yeah, so this it was 500 grivnas, which is like $10, and I bought it locally, although I'm sure it was ordered from China. And can connect to a phone, but it has a controller, and it's great to start off with if you're just getting into it, basically. Yeah, so going back to Telegram. So there's a number of reasons why this guy could have been arrested, right? Basically, his app doesn't, it's funny. Elon Musk says he's a free speech extremist, which is not true. Yeah, so Mr. Squiggle, apparently it was used to bug Macron. I'm sure of that. But yeah, it's also, if you're going to be a free speech extremist, you're going to necessarily allow things that are illegal in most countries, including the things you said, Mr. Squiggle. And somebody doesn't like that, but I gotta say, if I were this Pablo guy, I feel like I'm like, are you stupid, man? Hello, Martin. Thank you for coming. But I just feel like Pavel. I feel like this guy is a dumbass. If he thought that he could just go to any country, he has a passport in France, that makes it even less likely that he should be able to go there. Greg, I like that. The muskrat. I like your terminology, but it is an insult to those poor animals. The muskrat supports free speech, but only the speech he agrees with, which is not free speech. Correct. So the thing is because this is, I don't think that these governments necessarily care. I mean, why are they taking this action now? I'm sure he's been to France before. But it's my understanding, and I don't know if this is okay. So he was born in Russia, lives in Dubai. He was hanging out in Dubai. And I think what I was reading is that he attempted or wanted to meet with Putin. And I wasn't able to find that article. Let's see. Pressed Telegram meet with Putin. And personally, so Putin refused to meet with Durov. That's what I was looking for. Refused to meet with Durov in Baku. I think Pavel. I think that the FSB, that somebody wants to control him. Greg, fair enough. I apologize to all actual muskrats. Elon Musk says he is an absolutionist. Yeah, absolutist. Maybe it was, but yes, right. So I mean, there's something going on in the background, and we know that the Russian FSB has wanted this guy for a while. So because they want to have full control of Telegram, and we're assuming that they don't already, right? I'm working under that premise. And I basically think either France snatched him to keep him from falling into the hands of the FSB, and thus, yes, correct, Cheryl. He has the sons of 2 sanctioned Russian oligarchs as financiers. And by the way, Elon, Twitter, Russian, let's see, oligarch. So there were 2 sanctioned oligarchs. Russian oligarch linked fund tied to Elon Musk's Twitter buy-in. So we're just looking at, Putin's fingers everywhere. Russian oligarch linked fund tied to Elon Musk's Twitter purchase. An investment linked to the sons of Russian oligarchs Peter Avan and Vadim Moshkovich played a role in helping Elon Musk acquire Twitter. So both of these platforms are compromised. And I think that a lot of people here in Ukraine regard Pavel Durov as a little bit of a hero, kind of. And yes, CZ, Telegram is highly used in Russia. Yeah, it is basically the app. It is I know people talk about vContact. vContact is the Facebook. Telegram is the Facebook Messenger of not just Russia, but also Ukraine. Keith says, I wonder if it's connected to the Ritter thing, Russian propagandists getting arrested. That is an interesting question. Free Rider, Mr. Squiggle, not Freestyler, has demo and paid version. Please advise us which you find better, yours or the above one. Yes, I will. Thank you. FPV Free Rider. I'm taking notes. Great. I will check it out. Musk manipulates the algorithm to enhance his own and pro-Russian voices, lists Ukrainian creators as misinformation, hides them. Yeah. And he has, So, but just think about this. I want you to think about this for a second. This guy is now, Pavel Durov is now, hang on, let me big screen him. Pavel Durov is now in the hands of, effectively, from whether this is true or not, from the perspective of Russia and Russia's FSB. Pavel Durov is now in the hands of Western intelligence services, whether you want to say the CIA or I can't remember what France's intelligence service is called. He is, and I think will be regarded from now on by by Russia as compromised, and therefore the app is compromised. I think, and I think that it would be wise if Western intelligence agencies, wow, Kingdom of Vinland, that is an awesome name. I love it. As a longtime Viking recreationist, I enjoy that. I have an idea how Ukraine might be able to raise money post-war. If Ukraine still has any Russian small arms ammo, like 4 left over post-war, both the U.S. and Ukraine would benefit. Yeah, that's interesting. We are going to discuss this. Something similar. Yeah, Leslie, France arrested him because he refused to give information on terrorism and pedophiles. And I know and I agree with that, but I think there's also, there's some underlying nuances, let's say. And I think that, give me a second. My father-in-law just made this wonderful. I have a video of it on my phone, and I'll show it to you. Maybe I'll post a short about it. My father-in-law just made for me this wonderful stand-up desk, because I have come to the conclusion the hard way that sitting at a regular desk with my back in the condition that it is hurting my recovery a lot, hurting my back. And so when I was downstairs during the heat wave, when I was, underground, you guys may recall, I used a shelf in the root cellar as my desk, and I loved it. And I loved it so much that I asked my father-in-law. I mean, I could have done it myself, to be honest with you, but my father-in-law was like, "No, I'm going to do it. Just draw me the plans." And so I literally drew him the plans yesterday for what I wanted my stand-up desk to look like. And it's basically just a standalone wooden shelf. Dude, my father-in-law is a god among men, I'm going to tell you right now. This dude, old Ukrainian dude, he can do anything. It's freaking amazing. Greg Huey, so the French intelligence service. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for coming. French intelligence agency is the DGSE, Directorate General for External Security. Good God, that's a long name. Anyway, wow, there's a reason I and others call him Elon Muscovite. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I drew this picture on Friday, okay, and he started working on it on Saturday, and I saw him like cutting wood, and then I went for a bike ride. I had to go and pick up something in town. And I came back, and this thing was built, completely built. It was amazing. Anyway, but in my designs, I forgot to leave room on my table for my tea. I have all these like teacups and things. Anyway, so now so every time I want to get tea now, I have to physically stand up and reach over my desk. It's uncomfortable. I'm gonna figure out a solution. In any case, so what I'm saying here about Pavel Durov is that from now on, Russia must consider Telegram compromised. I think that Russia has to be panicking about this. I think that we will see, Russia tried to, and I heard ATP, Jonathan MS Pierce, ATP Geopolitics. Mr. Squiggle says, give him another sketch. Yeah. Yeah. He is amazing. Like, I just went on a bike ride for like less than an hour, and I came back, and the whole fucking desk was built. I mean, it's amazing. So, but yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how the Russian government reacts to this, because they could, the DGSE or French government or whoever could really put the screws to this guy and say, hey, listen, give us give us the codes, or you'll be in jail for life. And maybe he'll say that. But I mean, like, why was he trying to meet with Putin if not to cut some deal? So I feel like they were kind of letting it go. And when he went and did this thing trying to meet with Putin, I think that's what changed things. That's my Medvedev came out of a drunken stupor to comment. Yes, I know. I guess I'll look at it. I heard it, but I actually, as soon as someone says Medvedev, I immediately tune out. Okay. Russia's Medvedev says Durov miscalculated by fleeing Russia. Miscalculated, in other words, he miscalculated how long he would be allowed to live. Yeah, okay. I don't give he would be dead. This guy would be dead if he were in Russia. And he was probably just trying to meet with Putin to save his life, to say, call off your dogs, please. Okay. Enough about this guy. This is something I really want to talk about. But I also want to talk about these notes that I had a conversation with a Ukrainian earlier today, and I want to make sure I refer to these notes because some of the conversation was, this is what I do, right? I talk to Ukrainians, I get their ideas, their opinions on things, and then I come to you guys because Ukrainians they're shy. All right. But anyway, so everybody's talking about this new drone, Polyanitsia, and that's, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Polyanitsia. I noticed that John JP was struggling with it, like Palancia or something like that. That's an important word. If you're going to come to Ukraine, it's an important word that you should learn how to pronounce. Polyanitsia. It's that Y is like a yeet sound. Greg Putler probably already had the special tea brewing for him. Yeah. I believe it. So, by the way, guys, can you guys hear my fan? Is my SkruffyTalez today had a problem with his I guess they're having a little heat wave in Sweden, and he had his back door open, and the door kept making a sound. So, I understand that some of the reports I read, Mary, was that they have already been used. Yes, I mean, Ukraine likes to announce things after the fact in general. So I mean, yeah, Ukraine. You have to understand that Ukraine has a long tradition of most, not all, but a large percentage of the aircraft and missiles that are being used against Ukraine by the Russian Empire right now were designed and some built in Ukraine. Yes. There's a Ukrainian. So Kingdom of Finland. There's a Ukrainian assault rifle I want to buy called the Ipi Malyuk. Yeah. Malyuk is how I know it. It's a Ukrainian designed bullpup AK. Yes, they are cool. They are cool, certainly. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? This is the problem with the West, and especially America's policy of attempted de-escalation or anti-escalation, something of that nature. And the problem with it is that they're actually creating more escalation. Okay, and let me explain this. If the U.S. government at the beginning of this war, or in the first year of the war, let's say, had just gone full bore, okay? And, Sierra Army Depot, right, was just emptied, okay? Absolutely emptied. If you don't know what that is, it's one of many, many, many. I'm just using it as an example. One of many, many, many storage yards, just like Russia has outdoor storage yards for equipment. America does too. And this is, a mostly Cold War, M113s, 19 even all the way back to the 1950s, mostly like 1960s and 70s and 80s equipment. And America should have just emptied this out. And then the just another example of and this, like I said, this is one of many. And then there's like the boneyard, right, in Tucson, of the airplanes. They could have emptied out all of these sort of army depots, and then got to work on sending F-16s, or what the I wrote bonetard. That's funny. They could have worked on sending F-16s. Ukraine should be just awash in old Cold War equipment now. Kingdom of Vinland. I'm guessing I won't be able to buy a Malyuk until post-war, unfortunately. Well, I don't know. I'll see if I can get one. If you want to come to Ukraine, maybe I'll let you try it out. Interesting. Many reporting that the Durov arrest can be compared to the hacking of the Enigma in World War II. I agree with you, Lynn, with the caveat that in World War II, the Germans didn't know that the Brits had hacked the Enigma. I don't even think the Americans knew, as I recall. You know what, Mr. Squirrel, John Sweeney is back in Kiev, James. You should try to get a hold of him at some point. That would be fun. I would love to hang out with John Sweeney. He seems like a really fun guy. I do not think it's possible for me to keep up with the drinking anymore with him. But let's see. Greg, you asked, what does that name translate to? Polyanitsia? That's what you're asking. Polyanitsia. It's a special type of bread that's commonly made here. You find it all over the place. It's like a buns, kind of. So it's very funny that they've got this missile called the Polyanitsia. The reason that they gave it this name, Polyanitsia, was used as a code word. I guess some of you probably already knew this. Polyanitsia was used as a code word, one of many code words, but probably the most common at the beginning of the war. If you didn't have any other code words to use, you could use Polyanitsia. The reason being that most Russians, especially from like Moscow area or other, areas not around Ukraine, can't pronounce the word properly. They struggle with it. So the point I'm making here is that if we had emptied out these places, okay, and all of our other out-of-date storage things, Ukraine wouldn't have to be doing this. Ukraine wouldn't have to be creating these weapons of war. I wouldn't have to be training freaking teenagers on drones. Right? And now everybody and their goddamn uncle here, if I have anything to do with it, maybe not in my town, but in Ukraine in general, everybody and their damned uncle is making drones here and innovating on drones. Okay? And not just drones, but other weapons as well. And so this is an escalation It's an escalation. Escalation was unavoidable. But now this kind of escalation is very different from the kind of escalation that not John Kirby. Who's the Biden administration guy who is holding back all the aid in Ukraine? Biden escalation management. Who's that dude? Who's the Biden escalation management guy? You guys remember his name? He pisses me. I don't even like to think about his name, but now I have to know it. Anyway, that guy, not John Kirby, the other one. Because of that, Ukraine is like the freaking capital of drone innovation right now. So drones are already the new gun. Jake Sullivan, thank you, Cheryl. Johnson is like the he's not just de-escalation, he's a dickless fuckface. I'm sorry. I apologize to any dickless fuckfaces out there for comparing you to Mike Johnson. But figure of speech, right? Ass Hat Sullivan. There we go. I like it, Keith. I stand corrected. The escalation whisperers. Ozzy Bugga, that's great. So drones are the new guns. Okay? And what I mean to say by that is drones are already, not just going to be, but already are as revolutionary as guns were in the Middle Ages. Okay? Guns, I may argue. Oh, hey, Scruffy. Sorry, I haven't sent you that invite yet, but you know what? If you stick around, I will. Now that I'm here, by the end of the live stream today, I will create. Oh my God, this is one of the things that really bugs me about Discord. It's such a freaking hog. I will create invites for those who want to join the Discord. Sometimes we even have discussions on there. But it's useful for people if I need to send you things. Sometimes we need to communicate and make plans. That's more my purpose in the Discord, not just another YouTube channel promotion avenue. But it's interesting, Scruffy. I'm curious about your opinion on this too. Yeah, drone innovation will become a massive industrial boom in Ukraine once the war is over, and that is the point that I made to these kids who I'm teaching this week. Is it is my hope, and this is how I ethically justify it, but my hope is that the war will be far and away over by the time they are old enough to use a drone in an offensive way. But the fact is that the cat is out of the bag, okay? And to the same point that, when guns were invented, all of a sudden, any freaking peasant could kill a knight, right? Whereas before, it was very difficult because they had these full suits of armor, And starting with, I would say perhaps the Taborites, right? Or the Hussites. What were they? Czech? During the Hussite Wars, I think was really, the point when guns began to take center stage in Europe, in European warfare. But I think that guns, and you can argue with this, obviously, but I'm going to say it. Guns created the democratic state. Yeah? Guns created the democratic state. I'm not saying that because I'm pro-gun. I'm saying that when, well, there's an idiom, and I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Heinlein. An armed society is a polite society. You know? Or I think more accurate to say an equally armed society is a polite society. When any and every peasant can have a gun, the kings and nobles and oligarchs had better run, you know? And ultimately, if 500 knights versus 1,000 peasants with guns, that's what started the tables turning socially. Not only that, but when everybody can potentially kill you, it pays to be nice. Sometimes it pays with your life, you know? Now, you Europeans probably disagree with me on that. And I'm making the argument, I'm not entirely certain that I'm not a Second Amendment extremist, okay, or absolutist. I've had two of my best friends who were both into guns. Liberals, by the way, liberal gun nuts shoot themselves, deliberately shoot themselves. So, yeah, I've never been into guns. Let's see, Levicat, this entire situation in Ukraine only proves to serve that Ukrainians were the sole reason the Soviet military was feared. Creative, innovative, determined, and fiercely independent. Yeah, perhaps. But the premise that I'm making here is that when anybody, when I can sit in my basement, okay, and make a drone, I'll play one of my many low quality videos that I've made of me making drones, Scroll down, I'm sure there's some here. Here we go. Oh my god, I can't stand the music. Like, who chose this music? It's awful. But when anybody can do this, and then I can send this drone in any direction 20 freaking kilometers and kill someone, okay, that changes with guns, you have to be physically within range to see them. So, like with swords, you have to look someone in the eye and be close enough for their blood to spurt on you. That's a very different relation of. Did I say with guns? I meant with swords. Did I say with swords? With swords, you have to have an intimate relationship with the person, whether you want to or not. With guns, now you can be 200, 1,000 meters, yards away. Now, these things, multiply that 20 times, more than 20 times, 50 times, right? Why is it making this noise? Stop it. What sort of social ramifications is that going to have? And here, Jake Sullivan was worried about escalation. Well, the butterfly damn well flapped its wings a while ago. Okay. And, forcing Ukraine and Ukrainians and me, really, to do this. Well, I'm doing this. This is on YouTube. Anybody could watch this and say, oh, hey, I could do that. Somebody recently left a comment on my page. Let's see if I can find it, where they were complaining that I used the word kamikaze in my in my short, in the title of the short. And I'm like, well, that's what it is. I mean, also I understand people have said, well, kamikaze pilots, it's not fair to them because they were forced into it. And I don't know. I understand that there's potentially, I guess, racist aspects to it because it's a Japanese word. That's not my intent, obviously. This particular commenter, I'm trying to find the comment right now is what I'm doing. Oh yeah, here we go. I'll read it for you. Can you not put the kamikaze word there? Like, I know your channel is about Ukraine, but it's things like this that ruin the reputation for the FPV hobby and hobbyists. I don't want an argument. I just want people to see drones as I just don't want people to see drones as lethal, especially the hobby ones. But please do correct me if these aren't for combat purposes and are instead just for hobby. How, like, obviously this is an American making this statement, okay? How naive, how ignorant. Yes, Greg, it's not just drones, it is laws. Autonomous drones, they're really the big deal. And autonomous drones are the next step. Absolutely, with certainty, the next step. Look, let me just go to my discussion here with... Yeah, so read this, okay? A group of 20-somethings built a GPS-independent drone in 24 hours. Okay, and the way it works is they have a bunch of maps, basically, and they've trained the computer on the drone to recognize objects. So they have a bunch of compressed Google image maps, okay? The drone's cameras take pictures and compare those to a database of Google image maps using simple machine learning. It's not even AI, really, just simple machine learning. Dimitri, if freedom is a hobby, then yeah, those are hobby drones. Kamikaze is to non-returnable drones as Kleenex is to facial tissues. Interesting. The first time I saw a drone, okay, to be honest. Oh, hey Reb, thanks for coming. And yes, I did have a great Independence Day here in Ukraine. Thank you for asking, or hoping rather. Mr. Swiggle, divine wind is not offensive. Well, you haven't heard my divine wind. Oof. Okay. Anyway, enough fart jokes. I'm sorry. Yeah. So pretty easy, right? So they cobbled together a GPS independent drone for less than $500. You can fit a lot of compressed maps on like a 256 gigabyte SD card if you compress them the right way. We can fit 10,000 plus square kilometers. That's a lot. Uploading the maps onto the small computer can be affixed to virtually any drone frame. Just takes a couple of hours. Yeah. Boom. Like, this shit is escalating fast. And maybe we could say it was inevitable. Maybe we could say that it was inevitable. Aussie Bugger, Butlerian Jihad. Yeah. This is why I am a computer guy, or why I became a computer guy. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? So anybody with, basic like soldering ability and Legos, and a little bit of software like the stuff I have on my computer right now, okay? Yeah, Reb, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about this jet-powered drone. So if maybe I don't like somebody 20 kilometers away from me. Okay, I can build a little, half-kilo bomb in my backyard, attach it to the drone that I built by hand, and there off it goes. Who's going to track it? What would have happened to Donald Trump if instead of being trained on rifles, that 20-year-old kid had learned to make drones? Right? So we're in a whole new world of escalation because of Jake Sullivan's, escalation management. Again, I just reiterate, if we had, just used up all of this old 1960s and 70s stuff in Ukraine and defeated Russia that way, we wouldn't be having this problem right now, or at least we would have delayed it. Mr. Squiggle, please stop giving me ideas. Right. Well, I'm saying we need to prepare for this inevitability, this potentiality, this future. And in the same way that to an extent, to a degree, that democratic systems and a more equal distribution of power from the, let's see, feudal pyramid, right? A slightly more equal distribution of power from the good old feudal pyramid here. Let's see if I can I open image separately? There we go. This thing that we all learned as kids. So our pyramid of power is slightly flatter, I would argue, but most of us are still down here at the bottom. We're still peasants. Okay. And now, instead of having knights, we have, I don't know, police officers maybe. And instead of having lords, we have middle managers, bankers, I don't know, something like that. And here's the CEO. I mean, every corporate, every company, every corporation is essentially just a built on a feudal model. Maybe drones are the way that we're all finally going to be forced to go full democratic. Distributed power systems. I mean hierarchies, not electrical power. Kingdom of Vinland. I saw a welcome back meme comparing Ukraine's new jet-powered drone to the V1 flying bomb. Yes, only smart. Right? So now you can put any kind of electronics you want on this, essentially, and take it wherever you want to go with it. So yeah, Cheryl, unintended consequences, but really, like the U.S. has been intending, saying we want to, give Ukraine the manufacturing capability, the ability to do it, work on its own. And I mean, fine, but think a little bit past your own cowardice, just a little bit past your own cowardice, and realize what you're potentially creating there. Ukraine would have been fine with not being the new AI drone superpower in the world, I think, if it could have skipped over this war. But now it's going to be. And these kids that I'm training, God knows what they're going to think of to do. I hope it's for the greater good. So that reminds me, I need to send this I need to save this in my Telegram here. Look, I save, I mean, Telegram, my God. If we suddenly have to, live without Telegram, I can tell you, right. So yeah, Aussie Bugga, how about the consequences of not fully supporting Ukraine? And this is one of the consequences, and I think it could have been pretty easily foreseen. I know that this is from a couple days ago, but this is pretty interesting. Oil depots in Russia's Rostov region on a mass sale in wake of drone attacks. So apparently, these oil depots, I thought they were all kind of like consolidated, but apparently they're owned by lots of different people. So, so there was an ad posted on Tuesday. The owner put on sale 30 million rubles. I don't know how much that is in dollars. A facility located in Volgodonsk. Another oil depot for sales located on the coast of the Sea is Azov, and being sold for 60 million rubles. This is very well within the range of these things, and lots of other drones besides. Sure, the American people just don't want to get involved in another foreign war right now after Afghanistan. Yeah, well, guess what? War is upon you, whether you wish it or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's you can't like just stick your head in the sand and think that you can avoid living in this world. I know that Peter Zayahan, one of the things that he has said correctly is that America's periodical isolationist streak is in many ways largely due to its geography. Being surrounded on two sides by oceans and north and south by weak neighbors. So America has this feeling of isolation, but it's not isolated in a world where these drones exist. Okay, so Ukraine has created this drone. Okay, how long before everybody else does? All right, and long range drones are all over the place. What kind of a warhead can you put on that thing? Almost anything. Oh, Greg. So 30 million rubles is 300,000 US dollars. That sounds pretty cheap. That sounds like pretty cheap for a oil depot. I don't know if it's like a really small one. Catherine, already here. How you doing, Catherine? Good to see you. So that's what this is about, really, is a lack of, like, Americans, because of our isolation, we don't care about what anything else that's happening in the world. I'm one of these weird ones who, like, there's about 20% of Americans who actually even follow politics, much less international politics. There's probably much less of those. And everybody else just wants to live their lives and be left alone. That is the end of democracy. That is giving up your freedom and your responsibility as a citizen. To just say, I just want to go to work and come home and watch TV. I don't want to think about politics or what's happening in Ukraine or Mongolia or wherever. That is giving up your responsibility as a citizen. So you're saying, I want to be a slave. That's what you're saying. Unfortunately, and this is how empires fall, of course, because all of these other countries, think about how much Russians think about America. They're like consumed with America. They think about it all the time. Ukrainians too, to be honest. Like, it's their dream to go to America. All this other stuff. They all these mythologies about America. It's because they're underneath. They're at in the hierarchy of nations, and according to their perception, right? It's like if you were I don't know, a basketball player and you want to be like Michael Jordan or whoever's the big guy that's on top of the basketball pyramid now. Everybody's thinking about the number one guy. He's not thinking about all the other players. He doesn't even know their names, right? Resting on your laurels is kind of the term, and that's what America has been doing. It's the end of empires. Yeah. Leathercat, isolationism is literally the death sentence of any country that adopts such ideology. I mean, it's possible to be, perhaps I could say, it's possible to be isolationist in terms of, we want to keep separate. But there's a difference between isolationist and ignorant. Ignorance is really, I believe, a lot of what has fueled a lot of the mistakes that America has made. Kingdom of Vinland, including Afghanistan, including Iraq, just absolute ignorance. Yeah, so Ozzy consequences. Taiwan watching, thinking their nuke power might could develop to weapons proliferation as U.S. allies watch U.S. sitting on sand. Oh yeah, and by the way, Ukraine is going to be a nuclear power. If not by the time this war ends, then shortly thereafter. Ukraine will never not have nukes again. I can guarantee you that. Every Ukrainian says that. Like, why the hell did we give up our nukes? They still have the expertise. They still have a lot of the, engineering capability and, potentially even facilities, and could easily rebuild them. Ukraine will have nukes. Make no mistake. Reb, we are all involved regardless, unfortunately. Kingdom of Finland, I think nuclear power is probably our best option to fight global warming. What do you think about thorium reactors? I disagree on regular nuclear power, but I think the jury is out on thorium. I don't know. I've been learning about it, studying about it. But that's neither here nor there. Keith Kane, I'm glad my taxes are going to help our military industrial base and giving great jobs and helping our ally smack the piss out of the new age Nazis. Ukraine is fighting for freedom just like we did. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I protested against the military industrial complex for a long time. When America was fighting stupid wars or fighting war stupidly. Let's see, Mariam, I wonder how people will react to drones after the war. The noises must be stressful for many people. Well, I would say that the sound, yes, if you're on the front lines, that constant whine of those drones is nerve-wracking. I do not like the sound of drones, ironically. But most people don't, most people aren't near the front lines. If you're more than a kilometer away, you're not going to hear 90% of drones. So, yeah, exactly. Can you speaking about escalation management, right? I think every country has learned from Ukraine to never give up the nuclear weapons under any circumstances. This as well, think about nuclear non-proliferation, right? I've talked about that many times. But anyway, I just thought this was interesting about the oil depots. So, last week I talked about Pokrovsk, and we can take a look at what Deep State has to say, and maybe Noel reports. It's looking rough here. This is more or less what SkruffyTalez was talking about, pretty much exactly. I mean, it's a slow progress, but it's happening as he described, Oh, Ukrainian Jenny did an interview with a nuclear specialist last night. I will check it out. I saw the link, but I didn't read what the exact, Yeah. Yeah, I think that Kingdom of Vinland thorium, I mean, I think that off-planet nuclear power is probably definitely going to be the way to go. Like nuclear rocket engines and stuff. Unfortunately, I spent a long time living in uranium mine country in New Mexico and Arizona, and I saw a lot of consequences with the Native American peoples there. So it has a bad taste in my mouth about nuclear power. Yeah, PTSD will be the norm for troops on the zero line. Yeah, look at the orcs being hit multiple times. Yeah, no, it's already. I mean, I can tell you, like, I have a neighbor he's deployed right now, and the first time he came back, he had a terrible, terrible PTSD breakdown at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And we all heard it, screaming and yelling and crying, and just awful, awful. Some people, he's one of these people that I think should never have been sent to the front line. He's a freaking poet. He's like a nice, sensitive guy with a beautiful wife and young child, just living a nice village life. Had no business at all. No business fighting in the trenches in places like this, But here we are. So, I just thought this was funny. I know this has been reported already, but this turtle tank with a fold-out bed inside, like they're building them like these Mad Max mobiles, and it has a bed inside. That's hilarious, because Russian tanks are widely regarded as being the least ergonomic of basically any tanks built. I've seen them up close, the rusted hulks of them, and I wouldn't want. I mean, I couldn't fit in one. That's for sure. I stood up and I climbed up on top of one, and it was like, oh, maybe I'll try to get in there, and I was like, how? Like, how am I gonna get in there? Craziness. So I just think, but I think it's interesting that where are they putting the bed? That's what I want to know in this thing. Let's see. A video shows a new turtle tank. So let's see if we can watch this video.
Вопрос дополнительной защиты танка Т-80 решили радикально. Подобные конструкции в зоне СВО называют «царь-мангал». Так танк Т-80 выглядит внутри этой металлической скорлупы.
Oh my God! Okay, look, yeah, okay, that's a fold-out bed. So this is Russian propaganda, actually, and they're showing how wonderful their accommodations are inside the tank, inside this basically rendered worthless tank. Okay, so and the problem with this is, of course, is that you can't actually use it as a tank, right? It's just a drone absorber, So can you imagine, like, this is like the stupidest place to be, right? Like, this is where the drone's gonna hit you, dude. Like, yeah, go ahead, sleep there. Maybe your soft insides will. Oh, hey, Sally, I'm glad you're here. Your soft insides will absorb, the drone impact and save the tank a little bit or something. I just can't. Yeah, but maybe this is the new technology, just like drones. Frontline resort, Dimitri. Yes, you fight and relax at the same time. Yeah, but there again, to be honest, we've got these. So I guess there's a picture. I was just looking at, where is the actual picture of the? Oh, here it is. It's this one right here. So this is an Abrams, an M1A1, I believe. So first edition Abrams that was captured, apparently, if I understand correctly, by the Russians. or at least, disabled. It looks okay. I mean, it looks like it probably hit a mine and was immobilized, but if I'm looking at this, I'd say, whoever is in there survived. Yeah, not giving support to Ukraine and not giving Ukraine what they needed from invasion and genocide was a direct violation of agreements signed with Ukraine. Yeah. Dimitri, still no toilet in the tank. Yeah. Hilarious. No, they steal the toilets from the Ukrainians and put them on the tanks. That's the deal. Cheryl, so you're basically 24/7 Ukraine, and you just take little naps in between live streams. Yeah, Kingdom of Vinland. This is a real question, right? How will the world react to Ukraine becoming a nuclear power again? How will the world react to Ukraine finishing this war as, the second army in the world, or third, something like that? How long is it going to be? We've already got, so this Abrams has been fully up armored by the Ukrainians because America didn't want to share its latest and greatest armor. So they covered it with explosive reactive armor, and they also put, the old cope cages on there, anti-drone cages, and the Ukrainians, in my observation, here's the newer version. They build nicer cope cages, is what I would say about it. But it didn't solve the problem. It didn't help. Right. So how long is it going to be before Ukraine before we see an Abrams that looks like this? That's my question. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Cheryl Watley, Kingdom of sanctions. Like, my question is, how did Pakistan and India get away with it? Yeah, that's when I was a kid reading about it in like the 1980s or 90s, I was wondering the same thing. I think the way they got away with it was by playing both sides against the middle in terms of the Soviet Union and the West. I think that's how. Oh, chatbot changed sometimes to someone. Interesting. No, it says sometimes. It says anyway. All right. So this is what I'm saying, right? So how long is it going to be before we see a fully copified Abrams with a bed installed as well? And maybe it will have a toilet at that point. Why not? So if you guys are keeping up, this is the news from yesterday. I didn't see ISW's report for today. But yeah, it's amazing. What do we got to say? It's amazing, right? Up here, it's fantastic. Every Ukrainian is holding their fists, and we know, even though Deep State's not showing it, maybe Noel reports. I didn't have a chance to look at Noel reports today. Is showing some of the advancement. I think that Deep State is holding back on showing any advancements here, but it's kind of my understanding that Ukrainians are kind of going along the river here, headed toward Glushkovo, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're also coming from the west as well. Let's see what Noel reports has to say. Yeah, so okay, yeah, kind of coming along towards Glushkovo there, and basically encircling the Russians and stuff. That's a good question. Kingdom of Vinland, does Ukraine's Comblock ammo just rely on stockpiles, or is Ukraine still producing the ammo? I think it's producing some ammo, but not in the amounts needed. There are massive stockpiles, dude. You just have no idea. Not just not just 7.62 by what was it 39, but also the grenades that the drones are always dropping. I can't remember what they're called. Something 50s. God, I have this written down somewhere. I need to remember this stuff if I'm going to be doing it. Yeah, massive stockpiles of especially small arms ammo and grenades intended for grenade launchers. They're endless, essentially. They'll never run out. But the other ammo, like 5.56 is in pretty good supply here. But then there's some other ones like a 5.45 that is apparently pretty little sketchy. Some guys don't like carrying those. What is it? The FAS or the FOW? There's certain guns. I think there's a French gun that carries an odd caliber like that. Some guys like it, but it's difficult because you run out of ammo and you can't just turn to your friend and say, "Hey, can you give me some of your AK ammo?" It doesn't work that way, right? So, yeah, Leathercat. Ukraine is a generally peaceful country, but like the Irish, don't ever piss them off or back them into a corner. Mitch, if Ukraine gets the villages on the north of the same river, it is a very strong new line. It's a question like, where is Ukraine going to go from here? And a lot of people have been saying, well, we get up into the Bryansk areas up here, and Ukraine has said they want to create a buffer zone, but there's a reason they did it here, okay? And it's because of Sumy. And Sumy, I don't know what the population of Sumy was. I want to say about 300,000 before the war. It was a pretty big major manufacturing center and even technology center. And keeping that intact is a big part of maintaining Ukraine's economic base and manufacturing base. This is a major. It's not as big as Kharkiv or Kiev or Lviv or any of those other places, but it historically was one of the big ones. So, Interesting. That's an interesting statement, Cheryl. Nuclear weapons don't prevent war if nobody is willing to use them. Wow. That's profound, I think. The opposite of the way we would normally think, but I think, yeah, there we are. Anyway, so protecting Sumy, don't ever forget how big of a deal that was. When they say they wanted to create a buffer zone, they're talking about creating a buffer zone for this city specifically. So would they go north of the same? Do they need to? Really? That is the question. I think that they should. But the other thing, like JP from ATP Geopolitics likes to say, they can't. I don't think Ukraine can. Ukraine is already stretched too thin doing this, right? We're unable to fully prevent the shit that's happening down here in Pokrovsk area. That people are saying Pokrovsk is inevitably going to be taken, which I don't want to believe that, to be honest. But I don't see any alternative happening. Like I said last time, unless there is, a secret stockpile, or unless forces can be very, very quickly moved to hit some of these weak points, it's gonna be rough. Cheryl, not north of the same, it's high ground. Let's see. I think Ukraine will take defensible positions along the Russian border up to 50 kilometers deep. I think eventually that could happen, but not right now. I would love it if it were true. I would love that to be true, Filling in this gap all the way across, just make this a straight line would be great, you know, for one thing. And just creating like a real bona fide buffer zone would be great. But that's going to be a while. Aussie Bugga, only one nation has used them. Yes. Cheryl, they'll be fighting uphill north of the same. Yeah, so that's interesting. And you're right. So that's the general the general direction from north to south is highlands to lowlands in a very gradual decline. You know, from the north of Ukraine to the south of Ukraine, more or less. But you know, what about up here? Okay, this road to Rilsk through Krupets, you know, that is on top of these highlands. I mean, you're barely able to call them highlands. Okay, but you know, if I were Ukraine and I wanted to, you know, and I had the resources to make my next buffer zone, I would come in right along this highway and come right into Rilsk, and then you're using the same river, literally the same river, to be that geographical buffer zone again, and then you really do have the highland area here at that point. So I think if Ukraine could, they would, but I don't think that's going to happen. This protecting Sumy was important enough that they were willing to let a lot of Ukrainian soldiers die to fill these gaps down here with bodies on the Ukrainian side. I mean, you know, and they're basically willing to risk losing Pokrovsk to protect Sumy, because Pokrovsk has what did I hear, like 30,000, 50,000 people, and Sumy has like 300,000. Kingdom of Finland, I wonder if Ukraine's Flying Tigers idea would work. I think it would be an awesome idea if it did. I hope it does. Even if they don't get pilots, even if they just get mechanics. Anybody who can work on a not just F-16s. What about preparing for the Gripens? You know? Let's see, Keith. They said that about Chasiv Yar too. Starsky has a plan. He's waiting till Russia is fully extended and counterpunch in a few spots. A lot of equipment unaccounted for. And that would follow what I understand about like basically Soviet deep battle doctrine of let your enemy come in, let them stretch out their logistics lines, and then cut them off and isolate, pincher movement, yada yada. So maybe that's the plan. I hope. Let's see. Yeah, honestly, as Leathercat, as much as Ukraine does not want to take Muscovite territory, the oblasts surrounding Ukraine to the north may initiate referendums on their own to leave Muscovia and join Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing talk about this, and I'm not sure if it's a joke or not, but this is a very small area, though. Okay, Kursk Oblast, just remember, Kursk Oblast goes way out to here. You know, it's here. Let's zoom out on Noel reports, right? So there's Kursk and Kursk Oblast. Let's see, do we have it on the? Do I have to go to Google Maps? Really? It goes way out to here, like almost out to like Lipetsk, not to Voronezh, I think. Maybe. I don't remember. Cheryl, in my dream world, Ukraine would take Belarus and Kaliningrad. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be Ukraine taking Kaliningrad. I think it's going to be NATO, to be honest. Right, Mitch, and then take Avdiivka back from the sides. Yeah, so that is, you know, maybe that is the thing. So Avdiivka is here, or if not take back Avdiivka, at least cut off this whole salient. Kilograd, yeah. Anyone seen the pic of the Orcs winter model rubber covered turtle tank? Is that real? Are you just joking? Why would they cover it with rubber? I don't understand. Yeah, Russians are already digging trenches along the highway, the Rilsk to Kursk highway. Right, Rilsk to Kursk. Let's, since I was talking about that, let's talk about it. So here's Rilsk, and here's Kursk. So this thing here, yeah, and I know because the nuclear power plant is up here in this area, Kurchatov. That's it right there. And so this is where, and I mean, and it does really look like Ukraine is kind of headed in that direction, but it's a long way. It's a long way, kind of, And also, when you get up here, these are, again, these kind of slight elevation highlands here. And anybody who wants to occupy this is going to be at a disadvantage. You can see these contour lines. They're going to be at a disadvantage from anybody in these hills around, So trying to take the nuclear plant, I'm not sure exactly where it is here, but the nuclear plant is in the low zone against this lake. And, these are like forest and farmland, essentially. And we can look at that here, too. So, yeah. So this is forest in the valleys and farmland on the top. But, you could position a whole bunch of artillery up here on the hills and just shatter any force coming into to try and take the nuclear power plant. So is Ukraine going to try and do that? I don't know. Yeah, Ukraine doesn't want the nuclear power plant. Mitch just want the orcs to think they do. That's. I think that's accurate. I think that's fair. It'd be great if they did take it. I don't know. I think it would be great if they did take it, but I ultimately think that realistically, I think they got more than they thought they were going to get. That's what I think. But I'm glad that it seems like somebody was planning this out right. So I'm pretty happy. So there, and I may be getting mixed up. So there are a couple of different prisoner of war camps that Ukraine is taking back. So this is from a couple days ago. Ukrainian forces stormed penal colony in Kursk Oblast, where Ukrainian prisoners were held. This is a women's penal colony. And then there's another one I understand that is under attack right now as well, that the Russians are holed up in. I think that might be in Glushkovo. Did I save that? I don't think I saved that in my... God, I just saw the article. Anyway, it's pretty interesting that this is targets, So basically, I mean, are there going to be any Ukrainian POWs left there? Man. So subsequently, I mean, what are the Russians going to do? Are they going to kill those POWs? Or are the Russians just trying to hide their crimes? Wishing B. Oh, hey, Wishing B. If they take it, they have something to trade for their own, plus a power source for winter. Yeah, no, I do not disagree with that, for sure. But it's interesting, what places Ukraine is targeting, and that they're trying to, take back their own in these areas and save their people. And the awful fact is that they might end up condemning those POWs to death. Although I realized that yesterday, was it yesterday or Saturday? Yeah, Saturday was yesterday. We got 115 Ukrainian soldiers back, which is amazing. A lot of Ukrainians were really, really happy about that. Let me see if I can find a report about it. Oh my God, I just saw it. You weren't joking. Holy cow. There it is. There it is. What the F? Oh my God, it's a loaf. It's not a tank, it's a freaking, what are those things called? I think it's the Russian word for bread loaf. What kind of stupid, that is dumb. Super dumb. Like what is that going to do against a drone explosive? It's literally just what you said. It's just going to burn more. This is stupid with a capital stew. Okay, that's what it is. Man alive. Lighter than logs, I guess. Oh, it causes me physical pain to see things like this. Good God. Oh, man. Yeah, a bahonka. Anyway, so I want to look at something else here. I want to move on from this. I'm glad we're discussing this. It's all great stuff. Okay, up here. This is interesting. Okay. Russian sailors are practicing flying drones in swings so they can hunt Ukraine's exploding drone boats from the warships on the waves. I mean, we knew that eventually the Russians were bound to come up with something. Leathercat, you'll have to go back and watch it again. I'm not showing that monstrosity. So if you can figure, trying to operate a drone when you're on a boat and it's rocking back and forth makes it more difficult, especially in the heat of battle. Okay, so it makes sense that they're doing this. Is this going to help Russia, retake superiority on the Black Sea? That is the question, isn't it? I think that Ukraine will figure out a way to handle the problem. Imagine one of these sea babies that is not only a suicide, a kamikaze boat, but can also be a mothership platform for other drones, essentially an aircraft carrier. I think that's the next step that we'll see with these, to be honest. That's my personal opinion. So that the kamikaze sea baby can stand off for a while, send up a bunch of drones. The drones can take out enemy drones, or otherwise harass the ship and cause all sorts of problems, while the sea baby drone comes in and does its deal. I think that's the way that things will go. Okay, that's another Orc fan. There was a video on the tank. The rubber is lighter than all the metal, makes it easy maybe to move on the muddy roads during winter. Wow. You only have to survive long enough to get out. The rubber may cause pre-detonation. Or I think it just makes them feel better, Mr. Squiggle. I think you are correct in that last part. Mitch, it seems to me I heard the nuclear plant is shut down or not producing already. Now, that would make sense if they started shutting it down. It would make a lot of sense. Kingdom of Vinland, I wonder how a U.S. CSG would defend itself against naval drones. I can tell you that I've been reading articles and watching videos about the U.S. Navy and U.S. military in general is watching very closely, very carefully about this, because I'm sure China is building a stockpile of sea babies as well, and yeah, escalation. I think this is funny. European Commission sees no reason to be concerned about the ban on Lukoil's oil supplies to Hungary and Slovakia. I'm sorry if this is from a couple of days ago, but I think it's funny. Basically, European Commission has examined the situation with Russian Lukoil's oil supplies to Hungary and Slovakia and found no reason for concern. According to Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, reported on August 23rd. Yes. So Kyiv imposed sanctions blocking Lukoil. Remember that through the Suja metering station and ultimately through the Druzhba, which I believe means friendship pipeline, if I'm not mistaken. Ukraine has continued to honor its contracts with these Russian companies now, but they have expired. The contracts expired, and they just said we're not going to negotiate new contracts now. So, yeah, it's interesting. Okay. So now we're seeing the other side, whereas before Russia was sinking and threatening to sink Ukrainian cargo ships. Okay. Now we're seeing Ukraine turn those tables too, not just clearing out the Black Sea Fleet, but now being able to attack. And of course, we've heard about the ferry, okay, loaded with fuel tanks, okay, and Russia, of course, called it a terrorist attack. No, it's a military target. Again, I'm continue to be surprised that the Kerch Strait Bridge has not been taken out. I continue to be surprised by this, but there we are. And of course, I haven't talked about it, but we know about the not just the first strike, but the second strike. Russian oil depot fire. Yeah. And there was a second strike on the oil depot by Ukraine. So they're just keeping it. It's the largest oil fire ever. But maybe, listen, guys, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but maybe this is actually part of Russia's, like Putin's long-term goal, right? Maybe this is it. Because if Ukraine can start enough of these damned oil fires, we're going to have global warming so bad that the only place that's livable is going to be Canada. In the northern hemisphere, the only place that's going to be livable is here's some pictures of that oil fire. It's going to be Canada and Siberia, right? So maybe that was Putin's thing, right? Like to just make global warming that much worse. Honestly, I think that's a possibility. He was like, yeah, you know what? Even if we lose the war, we still win. Because nobody's going to be able to live anywhere in 50 years when global temperatures rise to the point that everything below everything below South Dakota is a desert. Maybe that's it. And the what is it? The North Atlantic Atlantic current collapses, when that happens, then apparently Europe is going to not become hot, but become super cold. So they say, potentially, right? Which would be pretty ironic. Maybe that's his plan. Maybe that's a big plan. He's like, well, you know what? Even if we lose, we still win. Because we'll just screw up the world for everybody. And if that doesn't work, then we'll nuke everybody at the very last. Maybe that's it. We've got our dead hand. What do we need? Like they have repeatedly said, there's no point in having a world without Russia. All I can say is that if that were going to be the case, like if Russia were going to like nuke the world, if they don't get their way, that was always going to happen. That was always going to be an inevitability. In other words, because Putin is just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and anytime, like a toddler who doesn't get what he wants, in the grocery store and does a backflip, Kingdom of Finland, in that scenario, would Alaska be habitable? I mean, theoretically, maybe all Americans will have to move to Alaska or Canada. Maybe that's where this is all going to end. But in the meantime, I'm going to close some of my tabs. Is what is going to happen here. So, give me a second. We're gonna, because my computer's dogging, man. All this stuff. Go, 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 go. We talked about all this. Man, way too many tabs open. Good God. Okay, there we are. And we can close that one too. Yeah. So this whole thing about Ukraine special operations troops, so destruction in Russia, I suspect, I think, here's what I think. Sorry, I closed my map. I think that a big thing that might be happening is that there are special forces, Ukrainian special forces, infiltrating all across this whole area. Massive all across this whole area. Hey, Scruffy, thanks for coming back. Yeah. So this is I think that just like okay. So I believe that the whole point of the Freedom of Russia Legion invasion of Greveron, and what was the other place where that was done? I don't remember. Somewhere up here on the line. The whole point of those was not to take territory or any of that. I think it was actually to deliver drones to like a massive number of shorter range military drones, and I think my theory is this. I think that they were delivering SciPac drones. I think they were delivering this to Ukrainian, these cardboard drones. Okay, that's a shitty article. SciPac, Ukraine. I think they were delivering these SciPac drones, these cardboard drones, that were delivered by the Australian company. I think they were delivering them across the border, or at least a bunch of drones. And I think that those were a lot of the ones that were used in like 2023 and early 2024, all over, like in Moscow, and because Ukraine didn't have the long range drones necessarily that it does now. So I think that a lot of the drones that we saw being used on Russian territory. Well, now, this border is just porous right here, and I think that I'm just speculating, but I think that Ukrainian special forces are literally just pouring through into this whole area of Russia, and making contacts, maybe, whatever they're doing. I think it's going to be a lot of chaos here for Russia in this whole zone for a long time, is what's happening there, I think. Yeah. So Kursk, man. Anyway, I think that's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. I haven't talked about frickin' Modi. All right. I know this, 2 days ago, but that guy just creeps me out. Just he just, does he creep you out? Like, he has his hand on Zelensky's shoulder, like he's like, he wants to be like, we're big buddies, or like, I'm your father kind of a thing. That's the attitude that he tries to take. I know that he has this whole thing like, I'm the father of India, he like, yeah, I mean, I know that they are supposed to be the world's largest democracy, but he is not a very democratic dude. He's like the Trump of India, and this is all about him showing. These are the pictures that are going back to India, and the actual like things that they agreed on were just really minimal. It just annoys me. But I do find this interesting. Okay, so Starlink has a pricey new plan to stop scalpers. Now, is this targeted to the Russians who are buying Starlinks in Dubai and repurposing them in Russia? Is that what that's about? I don't know. Oh shit, you guys. I think I may have the Russians who are, hang on. I want to see, when is Rick the Ukrainian starting? Yeah. I don't want to overlap him. Oh, okay. Okay, he's not started yet. It says 8:45, but he's not started yet. Because he's got Fuzzy from the Gur Legion. And I really want to watch this because, given my subject matter yesterday, where the article was a lot about the Gur Legion, okay, the International Legion. Yeah, the Cheryl, Modi is just another fascist. Yeah, populist fascist. Yeah, basically. Anyway, so what they're doing, I mean, in an effort to stop resellers from buying dishes in one region where the hardware is cheaper than clicked on Starlink, and selling them in another, Starlink is imposing a new outside region fee for its satellite internet kits activated outside the region where they were originally sold in. Starlink has designated these 6 specific regions as the US and Canada, Europe, Asia, Latin America, and Oceania. See, I've been saying that Starlink could stop the Russians using their systems at any moment. And this is exactly the sort of thing. Like, they have full control of that. Okay? So, and they're using exactly that technology that they could be using to start the Russians as a way to make more money. So, any excuse that Elon Musk makes in the future about not being able to stop the Russians from using his Starlinks on Ukrainian territory or anywhere else is bullshit. Bullshit. Okay, guys. I want to talk about our fundraiser. Holy shit. Wow. Wow, we are up to $1,443. Amazing, you guys. I'm shocked. I'm stoked. I'm amazed. I'm sorry I can't remember who sent me yesterday $100 on our on a super chat. Actually, I need to go back and look and see who sent that. That money is going to be added to this amount. Whatever Facebook leaves me, I think it'll probably be like $70 out of that 175, something like that. Will be added to this, and I have not. If any of you have donated through PayPal, make sure when you are donating through PayPal, if you do that, aberrantred@gmail.com, make sure that you are putting in a note that says, raffle or truck or Legion, something like that. Okay, so I know what it's for. That way I can search for it, and when we do the next raffle, so when we hit 2,000, okay, we're going to have a mini raffle. Now, when the whole thing is done, we're going to have a full raffle, which is listed on the site for this flag and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, but we're going to have a mini raffle for a bunch of stuff, and the grand prize for the mini raffle is this flag signed by the International Legion members of the 4th Battalion in April, and this awesome patch signed by members of the 2nd Battalion International Legion in a place that I can't tell you where. And also this amazing chocolate. So this is not one prize, okay? We're going to do multiple raffles from everybody who's donated towards the truck since last week. Okay, since I announced it last week. All right? So if you've donated since last Thursday, was it Thursday? I believe it was Thursday. Then you're going to get entered in that. And this, and this, and it's what it is it's a bunch of really cool stickers for your phone, but on the back it's signed by the guys from the 2nd Battalion, and I have pictures of all this, so anyway. And the other thing that I forgot to include, dudes, check this out. Have you guys wondered what this has been sitting back here on my window? And I've had it sitting behind me through multiple videos. Okay, so this is a Ukrainian-made HIMARS puzzle, and it's the only one in the shop. I've never seen it again. Okay, it's completely. It hasn't been used. These are the puzzle pieces. It's a 88-piece HIMARS puzzle made in Ukraine, okay, which is pretty cool. It has this really cool picture, okay. And then on the back, it was signed by FOMA of the drone team that we support. And he's from Zaporizhia, and so I can't read Ukrainian cursive, so I can't remember what it says. But it says Zap. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Anyway, so these are all some of the prizes, and when we hit 2,000, okay. So, and I'm hoping that we can do that very soon. So, yes, Shahar, I did mention that about Elon Musk's Russian oligarch partners. Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the stream. Yeah, I mean, so it does raise the question. I mean, how can the United States government continue to justify working? I mean, other than the fact that he kind of has America over a barrel, because there's nobody else who can really compete with Starlink right now, or SpaceX in general, or Tesla. But I think that Musk's days are numbered in a lot of respect, or arrested or assassinated. But his domination of all of these fields, I think that he's setting himself up for a fall. Really, he's backing the wrong horse in Trump. That's for sure. So, guys, I'm coming up on 2 hours, and I have to go because, like I said before, I have a week of drones with teenagers. And like I said, I really thought a lot about the ethics of this. And okay, JPH, I tried to buy some earlier, but it wouldn't accept it. Check the money is there in case it thinks it got it, and it was mine. It didn't go in. JPH, were you paying with a card, or did you try to? So on this website, I was unable to set it up to take PayPal. PayPal has to come just through separate directly to my email, unfortunately. So if you used PayPal, then then just send it directly to the email and just say. But if Leathercat, Tesla is failing and falling apart. I mean, that's sad, really, though. It's sad to see that. And SkruffyTalez, exactly. Musk is so far off the reservation. He's becoming a Bond villain. He's Lex Luthor now. He's gone, really. So, I mean, what happened during COVID? Nationalize Starlink. Greg, I don't think you're wrong. But, I mean, now, look, here's the thing. Elon Musk didn't invent Tesla. Okay, he didn't. He took it over in a hostile takeover. And I mean really hostile takeover. The founders, the original innovators that created Tesla, he kicked them out in 2007 or 2011, right before the Roadster was launched. It's just, so maybe he was always a Bond villain, and he's just coming out with it now. You know what I mean? All I have to say about it is that one thing I'm going to do this week when I'm teaching these kids is I think that I'm going to start off, and I know this is a boring way to start off a drone class, but there you go. There's a picture of the drone class from 2 weeks ago. This was the introductory class, and I think I'm going to start off talking about ethics and the ethics of drones. Like, what is our responsibility as humans and as technologists? What do we have to? Technology can be used for good or bad. It's literally a double-edged sword, and I believe that it's our responsibility to get ahead of it. To get ahead of the technology and make sure it's done the right way before somebody else does it the wrong way. By the way, I just want to point out something on this picture that I just saw. So if you look right here in this, right there in the middle, that is, I'm teaching the kids to use basic phone apps to detect Wi-Fi signaling, and showing them how that same technology is used to detect drones and used in drone warfare. So yeah, I had them all. It's in most classrooms, the teacher's like, put your phone away. I'm like, no, get out your phone. We're going to use your phone today. So they were pretty shocked by that, I must say. Anyway, I hope it's going to be a fun week. I am literally going to end this live stream right now, and I got to go pack my bags and be ready for the morning. So, oh, interesting, Scruffy. As far as ethics goes, watching a TV screen hunting tanks, the kids need to realize that they are killers and this is not a game. Yeah. And just like I was talking about the dude who was saying, about, oh, drones are just for hobbies and talking about them for lethal purposes, it makes us all look bad, the hobbyists. The first time I ever saw a drone, guys, like in America, long before this war ever happened, I was like, holy shit, the freaking Matrix is here now. Oh my god, what the hell? And that was always been my opinion about drones. They were, maybe you thought they were for weddings. Oh, and by the way, I shouldn't dox anybody. I feel bad. I'm not going to dox anybody in this. In fact, I'm just going to say that the number one, like the biggest drone expert in this whole room full of boys, the best drone expert in this classroom is a girl. And I hope she's going to be there tomorrow because I actually really need her help. I can't handle 15 teenage boys all by myself. So anyway, guys, Slava Ukraine. Yeah. Do побачення. And I will see you all on Thursday.